What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another edition of the podcast. My name is Ramon, and this is Dad's podcast project. And if you're enjoying the video via YouTube, we've got some natural sunlight coming in, so it's actually looking pretty good. I am really enjoying the new recording space. So one of the things I kind of wanted to talk about was my son has been, he's just a really sneaky kid. Like he likes getting into things. He likes just, I don't know, like sometimes I'll catch him and he just like shakes, like gets alert and is like, oh my gosh, he just caught me. And one of the things is I have a GoPro that I just have had in this room, and I'm still trying to put things away, still trying to clean things up in this area. And as I'm doing this, not everything has been put away as of yet. So the GoPro has been out, and I was getting ready to sort of upload some videos or just back them up onto my hard drive. And then I was going to format the card, go ahead and put it away, and until I was going to decide to use it again. And there was some video clips that he had captured. He pressed the record button and he was like playing around with the camera because he's actually kind of tech savvy. Like, I'm really surprised like how either intuitive this technology is for people to just pick up and use, or how quickly he's grasping the concept of how to use devices, be it tablets, cameras. I mean, you name it. He just gets his hands on these things. He's already turning on the TV, just talking to Siri via the Apple TV remote. I mean, all of these things he has like just a knack for, and I think it's pretty awesome. So I've been leaving the camera out now and checking it periodically. And it seems as if each day he's coming into this room because we leave the door closed. I don't really want him in here. I mean, not everything is totally secure. So although it may be safe for him to be in here, our daughter, she's still very little. I don't really want her in the room and anything to I don't know. I don't want her to get hurt. So my wife, she keeps the door closed so that the kids don't come and play around in here. Sometimes I also leave my computer on, and I don't want the kids just banging on the keyboard and running amok with things, because they've even gotten a hold of my wife's phone and like gone into different like sub menus on the device. And they actually, we were trying to, I think go to maybe it was Garland's or some place. And we were like, okay, can we even order there? Are they even open? And my wife was like trying to access Google Maps, and it was like, you can't, there's no cellular data. She's like, well, that's odd. I have unlimited data. Why is my phone not working now? And so I told her, well, why don't you go into your sub menus or in general on your phone and take a look at it? Chances are the kids probably got in there and made a change. Sure enough, they did. So certain things like that, they're getting into our devices. They're making changes. And I mean, I totally forgot where I was going to go with that, but oh yeah. So I've been leaving the camera out for him because I know he's going to sneak into this room, and I know he's going to be doing whatever it is that he's wanting to do, be sneaky. And it's kind of cool because in a way it's like a candid version of him. He's acting as if no one's watching. And I'm saving these videos in a folder that, one day when he gets older, I'll just show him, and it's like, yeah, this is what you were up to. You were a pretty sneaky kid. And I think a lot of that comes from myself. We were sort of thinking back on our own childhoods as we were talking about what kind of kids we were growing up. And my brother, he can probably speak more on this because I was living it. I wasn't really an active observant of my behaviors or my mannerisms, but I seem to think that I was a pretty sneaky kid. I was into a lot of mischief growing up, and I think that that's where my kids get it from. It's definitely from me. My wife was saying that, she followed the rules. She was afraid of getting in trouble, things like that. And as for myself, I think I was more of a doer, and trouble just sort of came in tow depending on what it is I was doing. Which then kind of segue to a different conversation we had was like, what are they going to grow up to be? I'm really excited because I have zero clue what it is our kids are going to grow up to be like, what is going to interest them. we were talking about my nephew and just how completely different his personality is from our kids, and how like our kids are like just full on firecrackers, just packed full of energy. And my nephew, he's like super mellow, super chill. That he's the kind of kid you could probably just sit and watch a movie with. Whereas my children, we can watch maybe 5 minutes and then they're getting up, they want to do something. It's like snacks, water, their attention span, it's like they've got to be doing something. And not that that's anything that's bad, it's just that things that entertain them require a lot more activity and a lot more engagement. Whereas my nephew, you can put a movie on, or you can sit and play a game with him. When he gets older, probably just sit and have really great conversations. And I was curious, like, man, what is he going to grow up to be like? What is he going to be interested in? What is he going to do? And it sounded bad. Like, I don't mean it in a bad way, but like, what are these kids going to do with their lives? Because I'm excited to see what that's going to be. And now I know, like, as the years go on, we'll probably have a good general idea of what it may be, what their interest might be, what things they might pick up on, what it is they're going to study, what it is they're wanting to watch, like be it being involved in art, being involved in video games, or even recording videos, or whatever it is that they may find to be interesting at the time. And so I think that clearly then I'll have a good census of what it is they're probably going to end up doing. But as of right now, it's like I have zero clue, and I'm excited to find out what that's going to be. Are they going to take up engineering, science? I mean, who knows? They might even take up a huge interest in spirituality and even go so far as to be super involved in whatever church-like community they find. And so there's just so many things. Artists, are they going to want to go on to college? Are they just going to want to dive right into the working world? Because we don't have, at least for myself growing up and even for my wife, we never really had like, this is what I did, so this is what you're going to do. Our parents didn't say, well, we went to an Ivy League or we went to a college, so this is what you're going to do. Or we went to work, so now you have to go to work. It was very much like, and when you're 18 and you do what you want to do, you're an adult now. Wherever the world is going to take you or whatever you want to do in this life, you can go ahead and do it. So we had a lot of freedoms to make our own choices. And I know that our children are going to have those same freedoms. So I think that we may lean a certain way, a little more so than maybe our parents did. I know that for myself, I hope to lean a little bit more towards, let's go ahead and focus on our education. Let's not just get through high school. Let's try to take it seriously, because I understand the value of that now in my older age than I did when I was growing up. And I never really had that pressure growing up either. And my parents never pressured us to just like, you have to get good grades, you have to get A's. It's pretty much you have to pass was the census that I got. You have to do well and you have to put forward your best effort. But it wasn't like you have to get a straight A in the class. You don't have to do extra credit. It's like, do your best. And so I kind of am a little more on that with my son, especially now, like we're doing the ABC Mouse. And it's like, don't do the bare minimum. Like there are certain levels he can select for himself, like certain activities in that ABC Mouse, he can select like level 1 through 10 in like a puzzle activity. And I know he can do level 6. So it's like, don't pick anything less than that. If I'm watching him, I tell him like, I know you can do better, or not really. Maybe I've said that. Okay. I'm guilty of that. And it doesn't sound the best, but I have told him like, you can do level 6, do level 6 or higher, because you know what you can do. And sometimes he'll tell me, oh, it's too hard, but it's like, no, you've done this before. You know how to do this. You just have to challenge yourself. And if you want to do 7, you want to do 8, you want to do 10 one day, then fine. But at least do what I know you can do and challenge yourself. Don't sort of shortchange yourself, or don't sort of just go through things because they can be easy. You won't really learn that way. You have to be diligent on yourself. And I hope to instill that value. He's still very young. I don't really think it's the time to really hone in on this, but laying early foundational fundamentals, I think is okay. And just taking it from there. I think that, even for myself, I tend to want to challenge myself. I tend to not just take a simple problem and just solve it, but rather look deeper into things. For example, with computer science, that's an online course. I don't have a teacher. Well, there is a teacher I can just email and ask a question, but I feel very like this is an introduction to computer science. I shouldn't have like this huge list of questions that I'm always having to just, even though it makes sense, like it's school, I should be asking all these questions, but I'm a little bit harder on myself that I want to find the answer first, and I want to exhaust all of my resources before going, because I know if I ask the teacher, I'm just going to get the answer. And I think that that's maybe my work ethic, because I don't just go, in some cases, I don't just go straight to the boss. I don't just go straight to somebody who's just going to give me the answer, because we're all busy. We all have our job to do. I need to use what I know, what I've learned, and the resources that are available to me to try to solve the problems before taking someone else's time away to help. If I do need to, or if there's a time constraint, like I'll assess and I'll make that decision that I'll just go interrupt somebody and say, hey, can you come and help me really quickly? But for the most part, if I know I have the time, I try to exhaust all of my resources and answer the question myself. And that's what I hope to somewhat teach my children, is that they have the resources available, especially now more so than ever, with tablets, with the internet at their fingertips. I mean, they have the resources that they need. It's not like they need to just ask me all the time, though I would hope that they would. It's a different time, I guess. And what that's going to develop in terms of them as kids. Even the idea of like, what if one of them grew up to be like maybe a professional gamer or something like that? We watch like Twitch and we watch YouTube, and there are kids who are making a living off of playing video games because they're entertainers. It's entertainment field. And so the options for different types of careers, podcasting, for example, becoming a YouTuber, though the odds are somewhat astronomical, I think that it's the same in the sense that the hard work you put in, you can almost bank that you'll receive the same in return if you're willing to put in the time and the effort. Now, would I recommend this as like a first option? Maybe not. If they were super passionate about it, then clearly that's the direction they would want to go. But we also discuss certain things like, what if they wanted to go to school to be a doctor or a lawyer? And we know what kind of bills kids are incurring now with school debt or school loans. Would we, there's a bird outside. Would we do all that we could in order to try to, would we do all that we could to try to, I guess, lessen that burden? And I think the question or the answer to that will come when they're older. We'll know what type of children we have, what type of students, I should say, our children are when they get older. If, say, our son or our daughter came up to us after high school was over and they said, I think I want to be a doctor. I think I want to be a lawyer. And, I want to go to a really expensive school. It doesn't really sound like a passion thought. It sounds like this is what you want to try because maybe it makes good money. But the road is long and hard in that career set or in that educational field. So I would probably be like, okay, well, what can we do? I mean, let's try to help you in any way that we can, but you're probably also going to have to work hard for it yourself as well. Now, if they listen back to this, they might know how to approach us. But I think that if we saw the type of students that they were, if they were very driven and passionate and just express like, this is the direction, like, this is it. We know this is what they really want to do. I think my wife and I would do everything in our power to ensure that they can achieve that goal and not incur the types of stresses like having to work and go to school, because I would want to ensure the maximum amount of success. I'm not saying that you can't be successful if you're working full time and going to school part time, or even trying to go to school full time. There are many people who do that. There are a small margin of people who do succeed at that. I would just want to maximize the opportunities for success. So my wife and I, we've talked about it even before our kids were born, setting money aside for those what ifs, for those hypothetical decisions, and what we'd want to do given the time when we have to answer these questions. I don't think it's too much to put some money away just in case. I never went to college like directly out of high school. My brother didn't either. We seem to land on our feet and do all pretty well for ourselves, and we're able to take care of our families and provide. And I don't think we ask for much, but it's just the one step further that I would like us to go, because my parents ensured that we had everything that we needed in order to get through just getting a diploma, a high school diploma, whether it was books, pens, pencils, any type of school supply. We had it, no questions. And so I think that what I would like to provide for our kids is the ability to say that they want to go to a university. They want to go to even if it's a community college. And for me to be able to say, okay, this is how I can help because I've prepared for this day. Just something that we were thinking about, something that we were talking about, but kind of transitioning a little bit. We also, we had to buy this movie. It was crazy. So my wife, she had on her wish list. I think it was called Still Alice, and it's a movie that she had seen the preview for, and she had been wanting to watch. However, you cannot rent it, at least at this time. You have to buy it, $12.99, I think. And we were kind of on the fences, like, do we really want? What if this movie's not good? Do we want to buy this? But it was like a stay-at-home date night, and we pulled the trigger on it and we bought it. And it was another movie that kind of introduced some more hypotheticals for us. An example of this is, the woman in the movie, and I don't want to give away, like, this isn't a review of the film. However, if you've not seen it, I mean, I may be talking about spoilers, but this movie was about a woman who develops Alzheimer's very early. It's a rare case. And it is also familiar, which means that it is passed biologically from the mother to the children. And so, it's just passed from parent to child, I should say, because they believe that she got it from her father. And there was like a 50-50 chance that your kids will get it. And if they get it, then there's a 100% chance that they'll develop the same symptoms that you do as a parent. So it was just kind of those emotional moments where she's sorry that, she may have potentially been giving this to her kids, that it was out of her hands. She was also a very intelligent educator, and to then be losing yourself mentally. And we kind of thought that it was interesting in the sense that the husband and wife combo didn't really seem to be super connected. They seemed very driven in their own career fields, and maybe that's what brought them together as a couple. But there was a moment where the husband, he is an educator as well, had the ability to take a sabbatical sort of spend the last year of his wife's life as herself, sort of together. And he didn't take it. Now, maybe that was just his way of dealing with the grieving process, was to continue to keep himself busy. But I felt as if the character was written in a way that he was just more concerned about what was going on with his career, how her illness was affecting him, and was changing the course that maybe they had thought they were going to be on. And it raised a really interesting set of hypotheticals for my wife and I to discuss. What if one of us were to undergo something like this? How would we handle a situation like this? And it's probably one of the more, I don't know, my wife asked me, like, what are the things you love about me? And it's probably one of the things that I do love about my wife is the way that we can have these hypothetical type conversations. And in a way, it's like preparing for an unknown. I don't think that either of us is in a position where we're like arguing about it, because it is just a conversation. Not saying that this is going to happen to any of us, but as a couple, I think it's really good to be able to sit down and have conversations that are like what ifs. We talked about a question: what if we were to go on trips again after this whole shelter in place thing is over and people are getting back to normal and we want to take vacations? What if we're on a trip and we don't come back? What happens with our children? Who would we want them to go with? Can we even decide who they go with? Do we need to think about putting together a last will and testament already? Questions like these arise. And though we have sort of like semi-solidified decisions on what we would do in those scenarios, the ability to have the conversation, I think, is what instills a little bit more of a solid base as parents, because we're thinking about our children in every aspect. We're thinking about their future. We're thinking about the potential future for ourselves. We're thinking about the event of potential catastrophes and how that's going to affect our children. What can we do to prepare even for that? So I think that the movie sort of led to much deeper conversations as of late, but I mean, it always tends to be that way sometimes with us. We watch a film and it then relates to, well, what if this? What if that? So that's kind of all I've got for you guys. I really wasn't. I'm still getting situated in this space. I'm still organizing the things that I have in front of me. And I think that it'll be a little bit before I have some more solid topics and some more just things that I want to, focus and put out there in a more, thought out way. So at this time, this is what I've got. I want to thank you guys for continuing to listen. And as always, till next time, see ya.